Welcome to Reverb Roundtable, a weekly show that brings the brightest creative minds and digital producers in sports, entertainment, politics, news, and more to share their stories and strategies that will help you become a better leader and creator. Welcome to the last episode of Season 1. We wanted to change it up for this one, so we channeled our game show energy to bring you a kind of sorta rapid fire questions with Team Reverb. We are answering 9 questions from must-have gears at events to the tension between speed and quality to spilling the tea on which events are our favorite. We cover a lot of ground. If you have never tuned into our podcast via YouTube, today is the day. Not only does Clark actually have props in this one and shows essentially every piece of gear he's ever used, we also added a ton of fun elements to the video that you are definitely going to want to see. And if you're already on YouTube, you're just ahead of the game. So bravo to you. We are linking out everything we talk about in this episode in our show notes. So don't forget to grab those at rvrb.cc/podcast. Now onto this week's episode. Here's your host, Clark Campbell.
Yes, welcome to the Reverb Roundtable. We are stoked about this episode because we're going to go rapid fire internal Reverb family. Me, William, and Tessa. We're bringing Tessa right back because we want her to game show host this episode of the Reverb Roundtable. Tessa, take us away.
All right, guys. Today we are going as a game show, essentially. We have 3 topics, 9 questions total, rapid fire, kind of like those Vogue walkthrough with celebrities where they get 52 questions, but shorter. Okay. Y'all are going to be just as interesting. I know it.
And you need to be watching this. You need to be watching this. So
yes, where there's going to be extra pizzazz added into the YouTube. So you should probably go to YouTube now.
Please. Okay.
Just saying. All right, guys. Starting off, first topic, gear at events.
Mm-hmm.
First question, what are the must-haves? What do people have to have in their backpack?
Must-haves.
So before we talk about must-haves,
go.
So there's a little insecurity here. We're going to talk about the must-haves because I'm just always asking questions like, hey, Will, what is that? Hey, Will, what is that? Hey, Will, how do you plug this in here? Like, I'm always asking questions. And we're
all asking Will questions all the time.
This is true. This is very true. And Will asked me or made a statement about my capabilities last year. And I'm on a downhill snowball avalanche kind of thing, learning gear so that Will doesn't make those statements, even though it's a compliment.
I was about to say, hold on. I know this is rapid fire, but I need you to articulate this statement that was made.
So I may or may not have been sitting with Will on my front porch and him going, man, it's pretty crazy. You run a company this size. You don't even know how to run a DSLR. And I was like, okay.
To be very clear, I was complimenting Clark's leadership and delegation abilities, that it takes an excellent leader to run a company of our size without having started up in the nitty gritty.
But my animal brain was like, oh my God.
I antagonized the crap out of him. And then he said, you know what? I'm going to start shooting as many events as I can.
So let's talk about
that meme format of, and I took that personally.
He did take it.
We're going to make that later.
And so I can now tell you, if you're watching on YouTube, I can now tell you almost everything that's in front of me. But Will, before I demo my gear, I want you to go ahead and tell us what are some of the must-haves you would bring to an event. Go.
Must-have. So I feel like I truly am the best person in our company to define the must-haves, not because I'm the best shooter or the best editor. Everyone below me is actually better at all that crap than I am. Everyone else that we work with on our team. But I feel like I'm the best to answer this question because I'm the most minimal in this category. So all the other people on our team typically lean towards bigger and better. And I still, in my heart and soul, am just a kid who wants to take on the world with what he can fit in his backpack, which is a 15-inch MacBook Pro, maybe a hard drive or two. And then a Canon mirrorless camera or DSLR with a 24-70 and a 70-200. And that's it. That's all you need in order to take on the world as an event specialist. So to dive in a little bit into that. So you got to have the MacBook Pro to edit, obviously. We're using all of our MacBooks to record this. So that's the bread and butter of the content. Clark was just showing off the wonderful 70-200, which there's 2 lenses that are my desert island lenses. So if I got stranded on a desert island, I can only have 2 lenses with me. I wouldn't have to think about it for 2 seconds. These would be the lenses I chose, and it would be a 70-200 and a 24-70. Now, all the purists out there are going to say, Will, but what about prime lenses? They have lower aperture. They're so much better, blah, 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 blah. In order to get the full range of focal lengths that you need to get to cover what these two lenses can do, you got to carry like 6 lenses with you. I can't stand it. Like, yeah, if I'm making a feature-length film, primes are great. But if I have to carry more than 2 lenses in my backpack, I'm getting weighed down. And so these 2 lenses give you wide all the way into super tight. They give you 2.8, which is all you need for an event environment. And it's just perfect. And you can carry
Hey,
it
Will,
back.
I want to ask a question. So this Canon R6, I learned really how to use it at the men's and women's basketball tournaments. But it's a fantastic camera. It's pretty lightweight, I think, compared to other cameras. The big thing for me and for us, I guess, for what I learned from Will and John is the autofocus on this R6 was huge. You know, you can't record audio in slow-mo, so that's a little challenge, right? Right? A little bit.
You can record audio in 60p. If you do 120p, you can't record audio.
Okay. And one thing we were trying to do was to have nat audio during basketball, huge help, and during baseball and softball. But still, for what we're doing for social, for SEC, this is an amazing camera, especially the autofocus. I did learn that if there's a net like for baseball in front of you, it became hard. And so again,
throw that puppy into manual.
Amateurs out there, there's a little amateur and auto and manual, and that helped me. And basketball players, when they're crossing a lot, the autofocus was really challenging. But when I was shooting across the court where the players weren't crossing as much, the autofocus was glorious. Okay. Microphones, speaking of audio, we were using this Deity, but I think the battery just maybe went out and dead because I couldn't get it to charge anymore. Will loves the Deity. I love the Deity. I don't know, something, it was like maybe $80 to $100. I can't remember at Best Buy.
85, yeah.
Yeah, at Best Buy. We went and grabbed it. It works great. But Will, why? Why the Deity over the Rode?
Okay, so why I love that Deity, Mike, is because of one simple feature. It has a stepless gain knob on the back, which essentially means you can ride a little gain knob on the back of the mic, and you can make it louder, you can make it quieter, which is really helpful, especially when you're running and gunning and you got to change settings really quickly. The Rode that he picked up doesn't have that. However, the Rode also doesn't have a battery, which means it kind of always works, which in itself is a feature set over the Deity as well. So pros and cons, different strokes.
Batteries. Speaking of batteries, the Canon battery works way better than the non-Canon battery. Just FYI, this lasts, this doesn't. So Canon batteries, especially in the heat, very big fan of Canon batteries. Best Buy did not have them. So,
and I think if you're not on Canon too, it goes back to genuinely or oftentimes genuine batteries, like the actual brand releasing their own batteries. They last a lot longer. They work a lot better than knockoff batteries. Even though the knockoffs are cheaper, it's typically better to pay for the brand names.
Yep, I'm gonna keep going. I feel like I'm wasting everybody's time. But look, so sometimes we do the iPhone light to light someone's face, or we have this little thing. I have no idea who makes it. MC
Aperture.
So
it's the Aperture MC Bluetooth light. It can go white. It can go tungsten. It can go any color in the RGB spectrum.
You know, John is really happy about this little light compared to our iPhone.
Backstory about this, like I prefaced with, we got all these like cinematographers and people that want to make movies on our team now. It's a beautiful thing. It makes all of our content better. But like I said, I've always just been a kid who wants to take on the world with what they can fit in their backpack. So when we're backstage at events, we'd always pull out the iPhone and light that way. And it worked beautifully. This was a great compromise, though, of being able to have a real light on you that was a little bit better looking for those tight backstage corners in the dark.
And to change the color, like in different rooms. It was so cool having that, especially indoors. Okay, I promise I'm almost done.
You're doing great. You're doing great.
Done. Okay.
All right, last round.
RS2 versus old school. So these are Ronins. Yeah, Will likes old school. Clark and John and them like new school with this cool little see that little computer screen on it?
So the new school is better in every which way in regards to it's smaller, it packs up a lot lighter, it locks. Personally speaking, you get in a feel with something, you get to know equipment over a long period of time, and that stuff just works. And that's how I feel about these new Ronins. When I pick up the new Ronin, I just can't get it to work as well as the old one did for me. That's it. It's a personal opinion.
There you go. There's some must-haves.
Happens to the best of us. All right,
Tessa,
next
keep us
question.
Keep us going.
Gear you don't vibe with.
I want to answer this first.
Clark,
no,
go.
Whenever you see it.
Ready?
Yep.
I'm very ready.
I have no idea. So go.
So I got specific and I got philosophical. Specific, I don't vibe with the Nikon family often, and it's not because the stuff doesn't look good. It's because I can't figure out their menu systems. I've never worked with Nikon, and typically speaking, if you don't work with Nikon, their menu systems feel backwards to other manufacturers. So specific, I don't like the Nikon stuff very much. Philosophical, or the more big picture, I don't vibe with using big cinema cameras at events often. And here's my basic reasoning why. We work with contractors that have brought in bigger cameras. We've shot events on Reds. We've shot events on Ursas. We've shot events on multiple different Sony cinema cameras, from the bigger ones to the new smaller one that just came out, the FX3. We've shot on all these, but oftentimes at these events, one, you're trying to go fast, and the bigger cameras, bigger codecs, bigger footage takes longer, slows down the post process. And then two, I default back to small kid with a backpack, right? It's better to be able to move quickly and nimbly at events than to be slowed down by bigger equipment. So there's this handoff in quality with the better cinema cameras, versus it's better to have a really good shot that you captured than the perfect shot that you missed. And I'll always take the good shot that you captured over the perfect shot that you missed.
It's a good one.
I do have a point that's not really don't vibe with, but it's a point, because I had people that were blown away. So when we were at SEC baseball, Kyle Delk, one of our contractors who's phenomenal in sports and with videography in general, he had rented from Lens Rental a Sony FX3, which has a fan and it's supposed to never overheat.
It's
actively cooled. It overheated 3 times during the SEC baseball tournament. However, Lens Rental overnighted a camera to him on a Saturday, and we got it. Seemed to fix the problem. So maybe it was just a bad body. But at that point, I was making fun of him hardcore about that. But my R6 on the very last day, which was the coolest day of the week,
it overheated.
My R6
because you were shooting all that 120.
Day, I guess that's what it was. On the last day, it was overheating, and I had to jump into the shade. As soon as I went to the shade, it cooled down and it was fine. But
beautiful. Anyways. I've been a long-term hater on Sony for 3 reasons. Their bit rate has always been way lower for the video. Their color science has never been great, and their AF, their autofocus has never been great. But I have to be the first one to admit, with the new lines of cameras they just released, their bit rate's a lot better. Their color silence is night and day better, and their autofocus isn't as good as Canon's yet, but it's really catching up. So
boom.
You probably won't see me switching to Sony because I got so much money in Canon lenses, but the Sony stuff's getting pretty dang good.
Good to know. Okay.
Might make a little bit less fun. All right, last question in this category.
I can't wait for this
one thing that you packed just in case.
Oh gosh, I got like 5.
We gotta move.
Nope, you gotta do one. We gotta
do game show. Game shows are fast.
Clark, you go.
I'm going to do them really fast. I'm going to do them all together.
Oh my gosh. Clark said one thing. No. I'm going to put 7 things in my hands.
A one wheel.
Clark, you have never packed that one wheel in your entire life.
A roll of I'm falling. A roll of gaff tape and a big charger. So there you go.
Big charger is a good one, honestly. If I had to just say one thing, especially taking into consideration all the things Clark packed, my biggest thing is cables / adapters.
Nope. That's one thing. That's 2 things.
No. They're plugged into each other. They're the same category. The cables and adapters. You got to have an assortment of cables and adapters because you never know what you're going to run up against.
I'm not saying them. I'm just showing them on video. If you're not watching on video, you don't get to see what I put up. If it
some other things that you can fit in that backpack I was talking about.
Okay,
guys. All right. We are moving to category 2, and category 2 is real-time content. Now, first question: what's more important, speed or quality? Will?
Oh, I'm going first.
You're going first.
I tend to lean towards speed But like it's both. So it's not either or. It's a managing of the
Both
tension of
and.
both and. But when you get down to it, you oftentimes get into this situation in events to where it's like we could push it now, or we could add the extra 20% on that will make it better, right?
Mhm.
And I am a people pleaser by nature. And typically speaking, the clients that bring us in, they know us for speed. And the quality difference when it gets down to it is typically quality that is being done for the creative, not for the client. Oftentimes that extra 20%, while yes, it's better, it's really better to the video people or the photo people or the creatives, whereas the client really doesn't care either way. So when it's that like heat of the moment, you got to decide right now, do we push it out how it is? Do we do the extra 20%? I'm typically the one that leads towards the pushing it out as it is, because that makes a happy client more than a happy creative, and the happy client brings us back next year so I can pay the happy creative again. Clark.
Clark?
So do you see what this is right here?
It's a cup.
Very
Again,
blown
if you're
out.
not watching, does this have autofocus? No.
No,
No.
it does not. I'm going to go with the
This is not a YouTuber,
Cleveland
Cam.
Coffee and Market.
Yes, Cleveland Coffee Market. It's just a beautiful stamped cup from your local coffee shop, right? And so I'm going to use this cup as my entire analogy for real time, okay?
Hit us.
Ready? This cup looks great. It's so vibey. Like it's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful cup. Like makes me feel small town and proud. It just looks great. The stamp, it's clean. Okay. It was also made really, really, really fast, right? Like it was just drip coffee. I had it in my hand 30 seconds or less after I ordered it, right? So it looks great. The quality's great. Speed was fast. But when I say quality, I actually care about what's inside. So like the look of the video is important. The pizzazz, the 6K, 4K, 1080, slow-mo, 120, 60, all of that's cool. It's like the stamp on the coffee cup. It's really nice. But when I say quality, I mean what's in here. When you drink that cup of coffee, the quality is not defined by what it looks like. The quality is defined by what it tastes like and feels like. So when you say quality, my answer is, what's the content actually doing? How good is the content? Does it make you feel? Does it evoke emotion? Does it make sense? Can I taste hints of something? So speed and quality of look is important. Quality of content is far more important. There you go. That's all I have for you.
There
All
it
right.
is.
Very good answer. Next question. iPhone versus DSLR. Can they compare? Should you do one over the other? What is your answer here?
Who's first?
Clark? We're swapping. It's your turn.
Literally, as my new friend, Tyler from Clemson says, it doesn't matter. What's in the cup matters. The quality, the content matters. If the content works, use the iPhone. If it doesn't, then use whatever works. At the end of the day, there's never too long or too short. There's only too boring. So hopefully I didn't steal that from you, Will. I used to like 2 years ago, I was running around SEC stuff with a little Osmo mobile on my iPhone. And I was like, yeah. Now I've been persuaded a little more that I can use the camera to create the content, the DSLR camera that is, to create the content that I could create on my phone. Yes, it's a little bit slower, but it's a little more thoughtful. So I'm kind of mixed. I kind of have both. If you capture something on your phone that's powerful, use it. It's about not being too boring. That's ultimately my answer.
Yep,
Well,
I think that's dead on. I think it's different tools for different situations. I think they're both tools, and you just use the right tool for the right situation. Oftentimes, the type of content that we are commissioned to create invokes the need for that higher level tool.
Right.
But there's also content that needs to be created out there that is perfectly satisfied with that lower level tool. And I think the biggest thing is never looking at that as a barrier to entry. So many people view, I can't create content because I have this barrier to entry if I don't have a DSLR or I don't have a filming camera or something like that. And that's where it's a no-go for sure. You can absolutely create amazing content on your iPhone. And something I show people all the time is I show people our first SEC football championship recap. And I say, spot the DSLR versus spot the iPhone. Let's go clip for clip. And they definitely get it wrong a decent amount of the time.
Yep.
It's incredible. All right. Last question in this section. This one's a big one. So what's more important to keep happy, your creatives that are doing the work or the client who's paying you for the work? Will.
Okay, cool. Again, this is you can't totally value one over the other, so it's a balance. It's attention to be managed all the time. I'll say this: if you keep the client happy 100% of the time, you're going to get some pissed off creatives, or you're going to get creatives that feel undervalued in the long term. You're then not going to have the people there and surrounding you that you need to actually provide the deliverable you're trying to provide, and you're not going to be able to help the client in the long term if you solely value the client and never value the creative. And in exact inverse, if you're always valuing the creative, you're probably going to go down this hole of this is super cool to this subset of people, but it's not practical to the client. It doesn't meet their business objectives. The client's not happy. Then you're going to have a whole bunch of creators with no client to actually create work for, which means a whole bunch of inspired people that are homeless. So it's attention to be managed. It's definitely not a balance that you actually achieve. And so within that, you have to take it case by case. There are 100% cases of both.
Yeah, so this is definitely attention to be managed. It's one of the hardest things for me because I live in the middle of the tension, and I vibe with, I keep using the word vibe today. I vibe with both sides of this equation. Like in one way, it's like a barista at Starbucks. Like, yeah, you want to make the customer happy, but you also have these kind of instructions and ways of making your drinks. And if you always have to change your drink for every client that comes through the door or every customer, then you're going to be like, what are the rules for? What is my equipment for? Like, I'm not even using my thing. Like I'm supposed to be using the machine, but this customer wants me to use this. And it gets very, very frustrating. So I get that. And then the other side of it is, service-based industries, the client is the ultimate decision maker. And if they want X, Y, and Z, or if they're going to be happy with this, then you go that direction. So I live in this attention category. And so really a lot of it's managed on the front side, but it's also easier once you've developed a working relationship with that customer. So this typically happens on first time goes. After that, it's, I think, a lot easier, because you kind of know each other. You know your barista, if you will. You're like, okay, yeah, I get that. And there's the expectations and the frustrations are a lot less. But first time clients, first couple of months, it can be hard.
Yep, completely.
All right. We're moving on to category 3, which is the
one.
most fun type of event to cover. We got 3 questions here. Yep. First one, what is the most fun for-profit kind of event to cover?
Hold on. Is this type or is this specific client? Are we going
client.
Category? Specific. All right. And then who's going first?
Let's go most fun for-profit event you've done.
Who goes first?
Go, Will.
Sorry.
All right. For-profit favorite. We do so many non-for-profit. So for-profit's actually a smaller category. Favorite for-profit. I'm going to say Story Brand is one of my favorite for-profit events to cover.
Wow.
Clark?
Why? No, why? I want to know why.
Oh, why?
Why? To sum it up really quickly, educational content, great people, fun day.
Amazing.
Clark?
I'm going to speak life in existence into this category. The most fun for-profit event that we will ever do will be music and entertainment. We don't do a ton of it yet, mainly because we've never really gone into that space. But we've done a lot of nonprofit music events, but we haven't done a lot of for-profit music events like concerts and tours, which is a whole management thing. There's some challenges there, but that's the most fun we will have, is going to a big old concert.
That I'll 100% agree 100%.
With. So if you're listening to this and you were in that category,
it's going to be the most fun.
Hit us up.
We will discount our services for your event in the entertainment music space. $5 off. Ready?
$5.
First person to call.
A discount is a discount.
$5 off.
All right. Next question. Non-for-profit. What's your favorite? Will go.
Ooh, favorite non-for-profit. Can I say 2? I got 2 that I really want to say.
I'll give it.
Okay. In regards to just like pure blast and fun, I'm going to throw it to like Catalyst West. That was always one of my favorites because it's a straight jam of an event. You're in this large church conference center. There's a ton of energy, fun games, good content, make fun content. sunny California, as Clark would say. So
Yep.
that's like definitely one of my favorites. Global Leadership Summit
Oh,
will always have a really high place for me though, because the content and just level of expertise of the speakers being brought in is bar to none. So like fun, Cat West, but probably top favorite is Global.
I'm going to tell you that mine is also Global Leadership Summit, and it's because of the
it's the best type of event we cover.
Yeah, it is. With all the facets of behind the scenes, speaker quotes, graphics, GIFs, like everything comes together in one moment. And I learned a lot about what we do as a company from going to the Global Leadership Summit back in, 2015, 2016 in Chicago, where Rena Saltzman set it up. I mean, it was a big old room. It was like a newsroom. It was literally like a newsroom, a production room with dozens of writers and photographers and graphic designers. And we were producing all this content that went out across the globe.
The reach of the event is ridiculous.
Massive.
Like the reach is huge. Orange Conference, you always have a place in my heart though.
Yeah, I was going to say Orange, same thing too.
It's true. Big Orange fans.
And that's not to say that our other events aren't fun, right? Go ahead.
They're all fun, but everybody has favorites and everybody knows that.
Yeah, that's true.
It is what it is.
Last one.
It is what it is.
All right. Last one is going to be sports. And we're going to take this one to Clark first because we know he's way more into sports than you are.
Clarky.
So I have a new favorite sport, and that is covering softball. It was a blast. Fast paced. Things were moving so quickly. It was just incredible. And part of it was I was shooting. I was running around, and it was the end of the pandemic-ish. And there were tons of people there. Football's a lot of fun, but football's stressful because everything gets packed into like a 3-hour window. Softball, you had some time to expand your creative energies. There you go, creatives. It was just fun. I don't know. I loved it. Gymnastics also, I'll give a shout out to gymnastics. Maybe it's because those are two sports that I had not done until this year, but they were both so much fun to shoot.
All right, Will. Tell us.
I'm gonna say
sports ball guy.
I'm gonna say football. I'm gonna say the football championship.
Okay.
And it's actually genuinely the inverse reasoning from what you said. So the baseball tournament, the softball tournament, all the basketballs, these things are anywhere from 3 to 5 days, 4 to 5 days, I guess. And so they're drawn out. You get really taxing by the end, and the end is like that's the crescendo, right? This is where the most impact's supposed to be, and you're a little bit worn out by the end of it just because you've been having to go and go and go. Whereas football, even though it is mad stressful, don't get me wrong, so stressful. It's so easy to get bogged down and to like look up and be like, I've only been going for 20 minutes, yet somehow we're in the third quarter. Like it's so easy to get behind on, but it's so fast paced, and ultimately the reward is so high. Because it's like, you got one shot, you better nail it. Because if you don't nail it, you flopped. You got all this safety net in baseball and basketball. Because you got like 5 days to get to a good piece of content. They're all good. But you got 5 days to get to the creme de la creme. Whereas football is like, all right, you have no content. We're starting. It's over. What did you make? All in like what feels like 30 minutes.
You're right. That's a good point.
The adrenaline, man. That'll
the
carry
adrenaline
you right on
is
through.
high with football.
You're right.
All about
Good
it.
stuff.
All right, guys. We have gone through 3 topics, 9
Holy
questions.
Cow. That was
kind of, sort of rapid fire.
Yeah, sort of.
Sort of.
I
pretty
felt
good.
like I had to rush. All this stuff.
That's because you had a list that was like to the floor.
Because you brought props.
Yep.
That's true. All of Will's stuff is with you.
It is.
Man.
No, stop.
Will has no
that's a
props.
touchy subject. Oh, he does.
We all share gear.
I just
We
have
all
all
share
his props.
gear.
My
It's a big,
camera is
happy
Will's.
family.
Tessa,
It's true.
last question. We're reversing it to you. We're reversing this to you, Tessa.
We did not talk about this.
I know we didn't. Favorite event, and what is your one piece of gear you have to have?
And
Go.
why is it high school camp?
You're correct. That is the answer. The answer is high school camp, which we did like
Way
first year I
back.
worked for Reverb.
What was that,
It's the
2018?
first time that Clark asked me to produce. He was like, hey, do you think you could produce? And I was like, I don't know what that is, but yes. Like we got to the event and I was like, Will, what does that mean? He goes, I don't know.
I don't know. Sit on a
And-
computer. It looked like you're doing something.
And we made it work. It was the
We
first time
did.
I got thrown into Photoshop for an event. And high schoolers are just
Look
lit.
where
Like,
you
they're just
are
fun.
now.
I know. We've come so far. But that event was just so
High
good.
school
I think
camp
about it
always
like
holds
once
a special
week.
place in our heart.
Forever.
And
Always.
soon, very soon, Trey McKnight is going to help us fill that space in our heart with Big Stuff Camp.
We love him.
I'd love to be able to say a new favorite event.
Oh, did you say your piece of gear you like to bring, Tessa?
It's your favorite piece of gear.
And why is it the 24 to 70, man?
24 to 70.
No, 24 to 70 is my favorite. I actually haven't used my iPad Pro in like weeks.
Quick, very, very quick story. There is a Lee alum that is finishing off her college degree with us by doing an internship with us this summer. She just worked an event with us that we had in Greenville, South Carolina. And basically, as she got into the event, she came around to understanding the glory that is the 24 to 70. And so we kept joking with her, like, you got to hop on the 24 to 70 game. And she sent Tessa and I a photo like the day after the event of her holding a new 24 to 70. She was like, "Yep."
It was like in the morning too. It wasn't even like the end of the day.
No, it was like first thing she went and did was got a 24 to 70.
Hey, and that is all the influence we could hope to have.
Honestly, that's all my legacy is.
Since I didn't have this one piece of gear in front of me, don't forget your ND filter, which was life-changing for us at the softball and baseball tournaments. What kind of ND filter was it, Will?
We use the Polar Pro, the like 2 to 6 stop. There's a darker one. We get the 2 to 6 stop. It's the Peter McKinnon edition. It's like a gold one. It's fantastic. It does pretty much cool no vignetting or color shifting. It's awesome. Peter McKinnon is a pretty cool guy.
All right. Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening to this Reverb Roundtable. It was so much fun. I hope you watched it. If you didn't, you need to go back. It's worth it. There's so much fun gear. Go to YouTube. Thank you so much. Show notes, everything. Tessa's about to tell you more about that. But we'll talk to you next time right here. Will, Clark, and Tessa. We out. Reverb Roundtable. See ya.
See ya.
Thank you so much for joining us this week and this season on Reverb Roundtable. Our team has had a great time bringing you value every week, and we cannot wait to continue to do that in season 2 of Reverb Roundtable. Keep making good content, and we'll see you soon.